Young friends, let me share a number with you that will truly strike you. According to research, 74% of Americans carry a financial regret. And do you know what sits at the very top of that list? Not starting their retirement plans and investments early enough. 74%. Nearly 3 out of every 4 people. I'm Harold, and every time I make one of these videos, I ask myself the same question. Why didn't these people start? I don't have to look very far for the answer. Years ago, I took a long road trip with Ray, the father of a close friend of mine. 7 hours in, we ran out of things to talk about, and Ray asked me a question. Harold, is there a financial decision you regret? While I was thinking, Ray turned and looked out the window and said, when I was 48, for the first time in my life, I had a few $1,000s left over at the end of the month. I stayed up at night running the numbers. What happens if you invest it? What happens if you don't? But I could never bring myself to start. My mind kept telling me, at this point it won't do you any good, Ray. Then he went quiet. He looked at me and added, I'm 67 now, Harold. If I had started back then, my life would look very different today. I was going to end up in the same place either way if I didn't start. So, what did I have to lose by trying? That sentence set off a whole chain of thoughts inside me, because Ray was asking the right question, just at the wrong time. The question shouldn't have been, is it too late? It should have been, why didn't I start? And young friends, among those of you watching this video today, those of you who are in your 40s, 50s, 60s, thinking, I can't even get a foot on this train anymore, I know you're out there. The first thing I want to say to you is this. That feeling is real, but that feeling is not a fact. Those are two very different things. The feeling is an alarm your brain sets off thinking it's protecting you. The fact is what the mathematics actually tells you. And mathematics never lies, my friends. Let's look at this together. Whenever compound interest comes up, everyone pulls out the same calculation. If you start at 25, you get this much. If you start at 40, you get that much. And that calculation is correct. What's wrong is the decision people make after seeing it. Then I won't start at all. It makes it sound like there are only 2 options. If you didn't start young, don't start at all. But there is a third option, and it's the one real option that millions of people overlook. Starting right now. So what does starting right now actually mean, my friends? First, let's understand what the numbers are not telling you. Those classic comparisons describe an ideal investor putting $500 a month aside at age 25. That person barely exists in real life. At 25, there's rent, there are loans, there's the whole effort of just building a life. In reality, the person who reaches the point of being able to invest consistently every month is most often someone between 45 and 55, someone whose career has settled, whose expenses for children have dropped, whose view of life has come into focus. And right at that very point, something strange happens. People start seeing themselves as too late. Yet at that exact point, they are at their most clear-headed, most committed, most patient for investing. Because they can now see something they couldn't see at 25, how money slips away and how that can be stopped. They are actually at their most experienced when it comes to this. Young friends, behavioral finance research reveals something very clear to us. The reason the average investor earns less than the market isn't bad stock picking. The reason is this. They buy when they get excited, and they sell when they get scared. When the market dropped 30% in March of 2020, who sold? Those who panicked. Who held on? Those who had seen a crash before, those who had lived through it and knew the world wasn't ending. In other words, experience doesn't show up in a portfolio, but it is the most valuable asset there is. And that experience already exists in the person who starts investing at 50. Now, I want to give you some numbers, not to push you toward despair, but to tear down that wrong belief in your head. The U.S. tax system offers a special opportunity for people over 50, called a catch-up contribution. As of 2026, if you are 50 years old, you can put up to $32,500 a year into a 401k. If you are between 60 and 63, that number goes up to $35,750. And then there is the IRA, which provides an additional contribution opportunity of up to $8,600 a year for those over 50. Now let's build a scenario. Say you are 54 years old and you have no savings at all. You are able to put $32,500 a year into a 401k, and you are earning an 8% annual return. By age 67, you would have reached approximately $570,000. Add your employer contributions and Social Security on top of that. That is not the number anyone imagines when they say, "I'm too late." But of course, not everyone can invest that much, I know that. So here is a more realistic picture. You are 50 years old. Your salary is $70,000. You are contributing 6%. Your employer matches up to 3%, and you are also putting $200 a month into a Roth IRA. Altogether, that comes to roughly $8,700 a year. At 8% return over 15 years, that becomes approximately $250,000. Put Social Security on top of that. When you compare it to never starting at all, the difference is more than enough to carry you into a completely different life for decades to come, my friends. But I also need to say this. Don't try to make up for lost time through panic. When people realize they are behind, a dangerous urge wakes up inside them, a desire to close that financial gap as fast as possible. Crypto, options, hot stock tips, these are examples of where that urge tends to lead. Things that can double quickly can also go to zero quickly. And at 55 with limited savings, a 50% loss isn't just a setback. It can be a devastation that is very hard to recover from. Reliable growth, not tactical gambling. Staying in the market is far more valuable than trying to beat it. Now, let me touch on the Social Security question, because for late starters this turns out to be an unexpected advantage. Delaying from age 62 all the way to age 70 increases your monthly payment by approximately 77%. For someone retiring with a limited portfolio, that difference can determine quality of life for decades. Plan for healthcare costs too, because people always underestimate this line item, and it can become one of the biggest expenses in retirement. And don't underestimate part-time work in the early years of retirement, consulting, freelance work, part-time employment. This both generates income and keeps your portfolio from bottoming out during a bad stretch in the market. Young friends, please take note of this lesson from an old man. There is something far more damaging than seeing yourself as too late when it comes to money. Seeing yourself as someone for whom this kind of thing just isn't for me. Investing is not complicated. Learn what an index fund is. Understand what protecting yourself against inflation actually means. Research and truly grasp the logic behind tax-advantaged accounts. Never ever sell yourself short. Always move forward with loyalty to the plan you have set. Someone who genuinely understands these things will outperform most actively managed funds. Because knowledge isn't there to help you pick good stocks from the market, it's there to protect you from making the wrong decisions in a panic. In financial investing, panic is never an option, and time moves forward in direct proportion to how well you make use of it. So never feel like you have come too late. On the contrary, never forget that starting late is always better than never starting at all. When this video is over, open a simple compound interest calculator. Then enter not the theoretical maximum, but the amount you could realistically and consistently contribute. What comes out after 15 or 20 years? The number you see will probably surprise you. After that, set up an automatic contribution tomorrow, not this week, tomorrow. Even $50. Because what matters before the amount is the habit. The next thing I want to say is this. If your employer offers matchings and you are not taking the full match, you are leaving free money on the table as of today. Change that. Use the Social Security estimator and see the difference between various starting ages. And tell someone about this decision. A loved one, a friend. I'm starting to invest for retirement. Saying that sentence out loud is the bridge between intention and action. Yes, my friends, Ray taught me something very important on that trip without even knowing it. Regret doesn't come most from big decisions. It comes most from never starting at all. The fear of what if it doesn't work freezes people in place. But the antidote to that fear in investing is very simple. diversify, stay consistent, don't sell in a panic. For someone who does those three things, not working is nearly impossible. It's only a matter of time. The years that will carry you to 65 will pass whether you invest or not. The real question is this: when you get there, will you have options or will you have obligations? Options are for those who start today. Obligations are for those who say today, it's too late for us. As Harold, here's what I say to you. There is no perfect time to start, but the worst time to start is next time. Take good care of yourselves, my friends, until we meet again.